Have you ever wondered what a person fights hardest to hide, even when the spotlight is on them every single night? And what happens when that secret is finally uncovered, not by rumor, not by gossip, but by an autopsy table under fluorescent lights? My name is Vincent, and tonight we open a chapter that was locked shut for decades. A chapter pulled directly from official examinations, sworn testimony, and the final forensic record of one of the most dazzling performers in American history. This is the life, death, and autopsy of Liberace, the man who wrapped himself in rhinestones, but died wrapped in a truth he never allowed the world to see. Liberace entered the world as Wadzio Valentino Liberace, born in a modest home in West Allis, Wisconsin, on May 16, 1919. His father was an Italian musician, his mother a Polish pianist. Their household was strict, Catholic, and deeply traditional, a place where discipline came before dreams and faith came before freedom. But the moment Liberace touched a piano, something electric happened. At 4 years old, he could mimic songs by ear. By 8, he was playing Paderewski pieces with natural elegance. By 16, he was earning money for the family, a prodigy shaped by talent and necessity. Yet behind his smile, something heavy grew inside him: fear. In the early 20th century, desire between men was labeled a sickness, a sin, a moral failure. Liberace felt those fears swallowing him. He once considered becoming a priest, believing celibacy might fix him, or at least hide him. That secret would follow him into every decade of his life. It would influence every interview, every lawsuit, every romance, and eventually, every medical decision he made. By the early 1950s, Liberace had created a world no one had ever seen before. Sequins, candelabras, furs, grand pianos driven on stage by Rolls-Royces. He blended classical technique with pop entertainment in a way no performer had done. His syndicated TV show reached more than 35 million viewers, pulling numbers larger than I Love Lucy. Women screamed his name, fans filled stadiums, studios showered him in checks. He played the part of the charming bachelor, smiling with actresses on red carpets, often photographed with glamorous dates he had no romantic interest in. Privately, he was terrified. If the world learned the truth, he believed his career would disappear overnight. Then came 1956, the moment that nearly cracked the mask. A British columnist mocked his appearance and insinuated he was gay, calling him a quivering, giggling, fruit-flavored entertainer. Humiliated and furious, Liberace sued and won the largest libel judgment in British history. But the victory came with a cost. He had sworn under oath that he was heterosexual. That oath became a prison he could never escape. In November of 1963, Liberace made a mistake that would change the course of his life. His costumes were stained before a show. His staff was unavailable. A snowstorm was coming. So he bought a container of dry cleaning solvent and decided to clean them himself, inside a closed hotel room with no ventilation. Within minutes, he collapsed. His kidneys failed. His body shut down. Doctors prepared for the worst. A priest administered last rites. And then he came back. Liberace believed he had been saved not by medicine, but by a vision. A nun urging him to pray to Saint Anthony. From that day forward, he distrusted doctors, avoided treatments, rejected prescriptions, and put his faith in miraculous recovery rather than medical science. This single shift, this deep fear and absolute denial of illness, would haunt him in the last years of his life. Publicly, Liberace crafted an image of innocence. Privately, his life was much more complex. According to people close to him, he often met multiple partners a night, many of them strangers, many of them young men living on the margins. He avoided public figures and celebrities. He preferred people who lived quiet, invisible lives far away from cameras. Then came Scott Thorson, an 18-year-old who entered Liberace's world and became lover, chauffeur, stage assistant, live-in partner, emotional anchor. Liberace even encouraged him to undergo plastic surgery, hoping Scott would resemble a younger version of Liberace himself. When the relationship ended, the breakup exploded into the first palimony lawsuit in US history. Liberace denied everything, again under oath, and eventually settled behind closed doors, paying Scott $75,000, 3 cars, and 2 dogs. Privately, the guilt consumed him. A close confidant later revealed he was riddled with guilt, terrified of being exposed. He feared losing everything. By the second half of 1986, those closest to Liberace saw a dramatic transformation. His weight had dropped dangerously. His cheeks had hollowed. He wheezed between sentences, used oxygen backstage, and often appeared fatigued or confused. In interviews, he refused to address his health, joking that he had been on a watermelon diet. But beneath the glitter, his body was failing. Years later, autopsy findings revealed what he had been hiding: lung damage, severe emphysema, acute bronchopneumonia, collapsing air spaces, near constant oxygen deprivation, heart damage, an enlarged heart, pulmonary heart disease, significant mitral valve dysfunction, chambers thickened and distended from strain, brain changes, cerebral atrophy, neuron loss, early dementia, apraxia, difficulty initiating movement, immune system failure, near total lymphocyte depletion, inability to fight even minor infections, digestive system damage, viral infection and inflammation of the esophagus. And still, Liberace refused to seek consistent medical treatment. His fear of doctors, born in that hotel room in 1963, had hardened into absolute avoidance. On January 22, 1987, Liberace felt a burning pain in his mouth and throat, followed by overwhelming weakness. His personal doctor admitted him to Eisenhower Medical Center and discovered his hemoglobin was dangerously low. He received a transfusion. He refused to stay. He insisted on going home, pale, frail, and barely able to swallow. In the days that followed, witnesses described complete exhaustion, inability to stand, yellowed skin, sunken eyes, gasping breaths, constant slipping in and out of consciousness. His sister Angie, his partner, and his nurse stayed beside him. They prayed for another miracle. On February 4th, shortly before midday, Liberace slipped into a coma and died. The official cause written on the certificate was cardiac arrest due to cardiac failure due to subacute encephalopathy. But that wasn't the truth, and within hours, someone who knew the truth stepped forward, and everything changed. Rumors spread rapidly. The coroner's office began receiving calls. Quiet calls, anonymous calls, claiming that Liberace had died of a condition far more serious than heart failure. The coroner reviewed the certificate, examined available statements, and made a controversial decision. Officials seized Liberace's body directly from the mortuary. They removed it from funeral preparations and placed it under state control. The coroner later stated, "It is my firm belief that somebody along the line wanted to pull a fast one on us." What happened next would rewrite Liberace's final chapter forever and reveal the secret he fought to protect for more than 6 decades. 2 days after Liberace's death, the man who had spent decades controlling every photograph, every headline, every interview, lost control of the one thing he feared most: the narrative of his own body. What happened inside that autopsy suite would not only rewrite his cause of death, it would expose the secret he held tighter than his fame. When Liberace's body arrived at the coroner's facility, the atmosphere was tense. Officials had pulled him from the mortuary against his team's wishes, interrupting the preparation for his public farewell. Fans around the world still believed he had died peacefully from exhaustion. Inside the examination room, the fluorescent lights hummed, stainless steel gleamed, and the staff prepared for a politically and emotionally explosive case. The treating physician had insisted the death was natural, but the coroner, after reviewing early notes, rumors, and inconsistencies, was unconvinced. He later stated, "Somebody wanted to pull a fast one." The unzip of the body bag marked the beginning of the truth. Before a single incision was made, something was obvious. Liberace was severely ill before he died, far more ill than any heart failure explanation could justify. His frame was shockingly thin, his muscles were wasted, his skin had a yellow, almost parchment-like texture. His eyes, even in death, appeared deeply recessed. These were not the features of a man who died suddenly. These were the signs of a long systemic medical collapse. Toxicology found traces of benzodiazepines taken within the last 3 days of life, likely to ease anxiety. But the results also revealed something startling. No major treatments, no strong medications, no painkillers, no antiviral therapy. Nothing for pneumonia, nothing for emphysema, nothing for heart disease. This was a man who had been catastrophically sick, and yet almost untreated. It was the first red flag. Under the microscope, the findings were even more alarming. Samples of Liberace's spleen and lymph nodes showed a dramatic, near-total depletion of lymphocytes, the very cells the body uses to fight infections. This pattern is not subtle. Pathologists recognize it instantly. It means the immune system is in freefall. Healthy adults simply do not lose lymphocytes like this. There had to be a deeper cause, something long-term, progressive, and destructive. This was the second red flag. When the coroner opened the chest cavity and examined the major organs, the findings were devastating. 1. The lungs. The lungs were among the worst damaged organs. Severe emphysema, widespread bronchopneumonia, destroyed air sacs, tissue collapse, minimal oxygen exchange capability. He had been suffocating long before his final breath. 2. The heart. The heart was both enlarged and structurally compromised. The right chambers were thickened, a sign of years of struggling against diseased lungs. The left side showed damage to the mitral valve and reduced efficiency. The heart had not failed suddenly, it had been overworked for years. 3. The brain. Microscopic analysis revealed cerebral atrophy, loss of brain mass, declining neuron count, early dementia, apraxia, difficulty initiating voluntary movement. These findings aligned perfectly with the confusion, fatigue, and movement problems he showed in his final months. 4. The digestive system. The esophagus showed clear signs of viral infection, severe inflammation, tissue irritation, and ulceration. This kind of infection only thrives when the immune system is critically impaired. The list of failing organs continued to grow, but nothing connected them. Yet, the turning point came during microscopic examination of the internal organs. Pathologists identified cytomegalovirus, or CMV, spreading through the body. Most people carry CMV with no symptoms at all, but in people with severe immune collapse, CMV becomes lethal, invading organs and destroying tissue. In Liberace, CMV was found in the liver, the adrenal glands, the esophagus, the spleen. It was everywhere. But CMV is not a primary disease. It is a secondary disease, one that appears only when the immune system has been shattered. Something far more powerful had broken Liberace's defenses, and the coroner was about to find out what it was. During the investigation, officials located a blood test taken before Liberace died. It was positive for HTLV3, the name used in the 1980s for what we now know as HIV. Microscopic tissue analysis already suggested complete immune collapse. Now, the blood test confirmed what every organ had been screaming. Liberace had AIDS, not early stage, not borderline, but full-blown, end-stage AIDS. This explained everything: the lymphocyte depletion, the severe CMV infection, the emphysema complications, the bronchopneumonia, the organ deterioration, the dramatic weight loss, the neurological decline, the constant fatigue, the near inability to breathe, the final coma. This was not a case of sudden heart failure. This was a body overwhelmed by a disease he refused to acknowledge. With all findings combined, the coroner wrote the official cause: AIDS, complicated by systemic CMV infection, acute bronchopneumonia, and severe emphysema, leading to multi-organ failure. Every organ that could fail had failed. The treating physician's original cause, cardiac arrest due to cardiac failure due to subacute encephalopathy, was inaccurate. The autopsy did not just clarify the truth. It obliterated the earlier explanation entirely. Liberace had spent his entire life controlling how the world saw him. He controlled the lighting, the costumes, the interviews, the rumors, the lawsuits, even the whispers in the tabloids. But in death, he could no longer control the narrative. His body had been confiscated, his tissues examined, his organs dissected, his blood retested, his cause of death rewritten. And the truth he feared more than anything, the truth he denied publicly, privately, legally, emotionally, emerged in the most public way possible, on a stainless steel table, under state supervision, with every secret revealed. The man who once dazzled stadiums with furs and diamonds had his final secret exposed not on stage, but through the cold language of forensics. In the end, we remember Liberace, not for the illness that claimed him, but for the brilliance that defined him. Yet his autopsy stands as a reminder: even legends cannot outrun the truth forever. And in those final hours, under the silent lights of the examination room, the story he fought to hide finally stepped into the spotlight and spoke for itself. If stories like this help you see these icons in a more human way, I'd love to have you here with us. So if you found meaning in this investigation, consider subscribing and tell me in the comments what part of Liberace's final chapter hit you the hardest. Your voice keeps these stories alive, and I'll be here waiting for you in the next one.